What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. It's Thursday night, and we've got ourselves another NFL football game tonight. It's week 2, and we've got the Chargers taking on the Chiefs in Arrowhead. And I'm sure if you're here, you're just as excited as I am. We're looking to make some money tonight, but I'm actually more excited about just watching this game. I'm not sure if actually, I didn't even think about it. I don't think I've got any fantasy relevancy in this game, but if any of you out there are fantasy sports players, which I'm sure you are, let me know in the comments below if you've got any players in this game. If you've already placed your bets, let me know in the comments as well. I'm curious to see where everyone is riding pregame before the kickoff here. You know me, I'm not placing my bets until I've watched some of this game, let things shake out a little bit, and see if I can identify any trends or see anything that we'd like for the rest of the game. So last week, we had week 1, Bills at the Rams. We went 2-0 on that live stream. Now, we didn't take our first bet until about the middle of the third quarter is when we took the Bills minus 1.5 points. They obviously went on to destroy the Rams. But later in the fourth quarter, we took under 48.5 points, which also easily covered. But those are the areas where I like to pick my spots. I like to watch the game, watch it unfold. And typically you'll see a lot more stability in things in the game flow in the second half, right? If you track the number of turnovers that typically happen in NFL games, you'll notice that a lot of them are in the first half, in the early going of things. But once the games really start to settle, third quarter, fourth quarters, games get a lot more predictable, especially when it's a close game. So that's the other part of it. I tend not to place bets on games where things have already gotten out of hand. If it's a 20-point game or something, forget about anything being predictable. At that point, coaches are really just getting new players in there. They are, trying to see what they can work out of things. But at that point, it's really unpredictable what's going to happen. So I like games like tonight because we expect this one to come down, to a possession or 2 possessions at most. So again, I think it's gonna lean itself to being a little more predictable down the road. Now, the closing line, we're not kicking off quite yet. We've got a few minutes here, but right now we've got the Chiefs as a 4-point favorite at home, and the over-under has dropped slightly. I'm seeing it at 52.5 and 53 points. So there's been quite a bit of movement on the under here in the last probably hour or so. This number was at 54.5 earlier in the day. It was at 54 and holding steady there until about an hour or so ago. And now we've seen it drop down to 53 and in some books, 52.5. So a lot of action coming in towards the under, which I'm not going to blame that. Honestly, it's Thursday night football. So I was a little torn with this line to begin with. For those of you who don't know, Thursday night football games tend to lean towards unders. And I shouldn't even say that necessarily. They tend to play out slower pace than this game normally would. If you took these 2 teams and put them on the Sunday slate this week, I would expect a much faster paced and a much higher scoring game. But again, this being a Thursday night game, these teams are coming off, they're basically on a short week, right? So they just played on Sunday and now they're coming back, short week. These teams are tired, players are tired, so things tend to move a little bit slower. With that said, these are 2 great offenses, so you never really know what's going to happen. I think the biggest takeaway for me from week 1, hey, we got Carlo back in the house. What's going on, Carlo? Carlo, what's your take on the early going here? What's your side? But my biggest takeaway from week 1 for both of these teams, I'm not sure if you all had a chance to watch those games, but Kansas City, took on Arizona. The Cardinals, to me, looked worse in that game than the Chiefs looked good, if that makes sense. The Chiefs looked very good. Don't get me wrong. Mahomes was masterful. So I'm not trying to take anything away from Kansas City, but the Cardinals really just looked abysmal, to be honest. So that I didn't want to put too much stake in that drubbing that the Chiefs had there. On the other side of things, the Chargers took on the Raiders. I thought the Chargers looked really good. Now, granted, they only won that game by 5 points. I think it was 24-19 over the Raiders. But the biggest thing for me was the Chargers defense. We saw them load up in the offseason. And Khalil Mack, of course, for one, just was on a mission. And he could be a difference maker tonight for sure. So I'm curious to see what the Chargers look like now going to Arrowhead. This has obviously become a pretty big rivalry over the last just couple of years here, and probably will be for a while. So Carlos he's got the Chargers covering and the under. Okay, so this is what I'm a little torn on here is at first glance when these lines came out, I would have thought the exact same thing. I'm thinking I love the Chargers with the points. I would lean under just, again, based on this being a Thursday night game. But the funny thing is the public is also all over this. The public loves the Chargers. The ESPN analysts all love the Chargers and they love the under. And if you know anything about ESPN analysts, they are trash when it comes to sports betting. Now, of course, sports betting is a big topic now on ESPN. Now that Disney's got a stake in DraftKings and sports betting has become legal in so many states, it's a big part of their coverage. But if you actually follow their picks and all these guys who are giving you their takes before the game, don't do it. You'll be broke in no time. So take that with a grain of salt. But again, I'm not going to say that I'm just going to go against it now because they're taking the same thing. That was my lean originally, was Chargers and the under. But again, we're going to see how this game plays out. My hope, and this is very realistic, I think if the Chiefs come out and they score first, whenever that might be, we're going to see that line jump. There's going to, public's going to come in, they're going to smash the Chiefs, and we're going to see the Chargers at that point probably getting close to a touchdown. And to me, that starts the whole value proposition there, because I think this is going to come down to a one possession game. So if I can get the Chargers, getting a touchdown, I'll be all over that. And the Chiefs, mind you, are one of the best first quarter teams in the NFL, if not the best. So especially at home, they tend to play very well in that first quarter at home. So very much in the realm of possibilities that they come out. If they take the kickoff, they could march down the field, score really quickly. And again, we get that inflated added value on the Chargers at that point. So that's, again, one of the reasons I love live betting, is because I can kind of customize these scenarios in my mind. And then if they unfold, that gives me the perfect opportunity to bet at a great value. Again, if I get the Chargers at a touchdown there, fantastic. And if it doesn't happen, that's okay. What have I lost? I've lost nothing, right? My money's not invested at that point. I can then just wait for the next spot that I like, whether it's in the first quarter, second quarter, end of the game, whatever it is. I'll find a spot that I like. The other thing is too, and I like to be honest about this at the beginning of my live streams, this is not an action-packed live stream. I'm not here trying to throw a bet your way every 5 minutes of the game. So if that's what you're here for, probably not for you. I'm here to share my strategies with you, and I'm doing what I do normally. So I'm usually a pretty methodical and patient bettor. And so again, I might not pick my first spot until the second half of the game. Now we're going to be talking about things that we see all throughout the first half, the first quarter. And, maybe you hear something and you decide you want to take something. That's fantastic. But, for me, again, I'm just really being patient, picking my spots. And my goal is not to get rich tonight. I try to be pretty realistic, and I'm here for the long run. So I tend to do very well, by the end of the year. But day by day, I'm just taking what I can get. And if there's nothing that piques my interest tonight, I'm going to really try to not, force a bet if I don't have to. Now I'm watching the game live, or, I'm watching it on Amazon Prime. They've got the Thursday night games now, I think. So if you see me turning my head this way, it's just because I'm watching the game on the screen. You'll be looking at the side of my face. But that's kind of where I'm at right now. Like I said, I'm hoping to get that added value on the Chargers. And you never know, it might come out the other way, and maybe Chargers come out and they go up 10-0 or 14-0. And at that point, if I get the Chiefs plus 4 points, I might take that too. So we'll just wait and see how things go. I'll, of course, always be looking to – I always like taking late game unders when it makes sense. So if I see some things – the first half of this game and the score is kind of driving up a little bit, but I feel like things are going to settle out. I might grab an under midway through the third quarter or in the fourth quarter or something like that. One big thing that was just announced about an hour ago. So Harrison Butker, the kicker for the Chiefs, is out tonight. So that was not something that was on a lot of people's radar. And it was just made official a little bit ago. And that's a pretty big deal. I know a lot of sports bettors, again, they pay way more attention to the skill positions, quote unquote, the sexy positions. So quarterback, wide receiver, running back. Those are the things that sports bettors tend to pay attention to. But honestly, those are the things that I don't want to say they matter the least. But from a sports book's perspective, right, when they're creating these lines, if you were to tell them, for example, tonight, Keenan Allen's out. We've known that Keenan Allen wasn't likely to play tonight for a couple days now. And some people projected that, meaning that the Chargers are going to be getting a touchdown or 8 points, like that. Keenan Allen's a big loss, no question about that. But the reality is he's not going to impact the score of the game as drastically as people might think. Whereas somebody on the offensive line, a center goes down, for example, sportsbooks will take that into account a lot more. You see a starting center out for a team, that could shift the line 2-3 points easily. And of course, starting quarterback's probably a big deal, but running back, wide receivers, unless you're really, a Derrick Henry or Christian McCaffrey or something like that, you're not going to move the needle a whole lot because there's going to be people that can step into your role. And we've seen this year in and year out. I remember when Le'Veon Bell had gone down and James Conner came in when nobody knew who James Conner was. And he literally just plugged right in, had the exact, essentially same stats as Le'Veon Bell, caught 150 passes and just ran all over the world. So, things will happen. But again, Harrison Butker being out, getting back to the point, to me, that's a pretty big deal. So you're talking about special teams, not just kickoffs, but Harrison Butker's been one of the best field goal kickers in the league for a while now. And the game just kicked off here. So I can't remember now who's kicking. Gosh, who's replacing him? So Jets kicker from last year, but essentially not on equal footing as Harrison Butker. So in a game that we expect to play out within a possession or two, you talk about your very solid field goal kicker being down. That's a big deal to me. To me, that's worth a point or two right off the bat. So let's see how this game's starting off here. Chiefs are on the ground. They're running the ball well. These defenses, both of them were very good last week. We said, again, the Chiefs kind of dominated the Cardinals. And again, I think the Cardinals looked a little worse than I expected, but the Chargers defense just looked solid against the Raiders. So they were just pressuring Derek Carr all day long. They picked him off 3 times, and they made it very difficult for him. Now, if they can get that kind of pressure on Mahomes today, I'd be surprised because the Chiefs' offensive line is a little bit better, but we'll see. They're coming out here and they're really making a statement that they're going to kind of force the running game a little bit. I don't think the Chargers probably expected that, but let's see how things shore up. So, but this is kind of what I was talking about here. We got the Chiefs got the ball first. They're going to drive down the field. I'm really hoping, we start off here 7-0 and see what kind of movement we get on the Chargers line. So right now, Chargers plus 4.5. We've got the closing line there up on the screen. I'll be putting up the live lines in just a minute. Nice little dump off there. And just so you know, for you guys, obviously, I've got the Gamecast up here on the screen, just in case you're not watching the game at home. Then you can just follow along, the play-by-play here. Obviously, I can't share my TV screen with you because that goes against all kinds of media rights. So, sorry, I cannot show you that. But, so we're just, we're going to see how this game starts off. Like I said, I like that the Chiefs got the ball first. It's really what I was hoping for. Hoping to go up 7-0 gives me a little, added boost there on the Chargers line. So they're already at midfield. It's 1st and 10. And again, I'm fully aware there's a delay whenever you're watching these games on anything. But if you're not watching it on cable, there's more of a delay if you're watching it online, whether it's on YouTube TV or Sling or in my case, Amazon. So what I'm seeing might be a few seconds ahead or behind what you're seeing. So I apologize for that. The Gamecast here is pretty much in line with what I'm watching. Yeah, almost exactly. Now, Bovada on your sports books, depending on what you bet on, I've got Bovada pulled up here. Just know that Bovada is going to be, they're going to have the information before we do, right? So they're privy to that information without the delay. So you're going to see lines sometimes change drastically, and you're not going to know why. And then, a few seconds later, you're watching the play on your TV and you see a long touchdown or a sack or a penalty or something that caused that line to change in the moment. So just be aware of that. We've already got the line dropping to 50.5 right now. So again, from about an hour before kickoff, we were at 54 points, and now we're 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes into the game, and it's already down to 50.5. Chargers with a nice tackle for loss there, forced fourth down. So not exactly what I hoped for, right? Chiefs came out, drove to midfield. They're going to play the field position game here. They're going to punt this one away. I was really hoping they'd go up early so I could grab the Chargers, plus 6 or 7, but that didn't happen. So, and these two defenses I don't think they're going to get enough credit for this game because of how incredible we know these offenses are. But I'm happy to see the Chargers defense come out and hold like that because that's really what I expected out of them for the course of this game. Now, with that said, this kind of presents the first challenges. I think young, immature, and impatient me would have typically seen something I like right off the bat and just hurried to bet on it as quickly as I could. But having done this now for a little bit longer, again, I want to see the game shake out. So I typically won't bet before each team has had 2 possessions because it's just, again, the game's just starting out. There's nerves, there are those spotlights. Play calling's a little funny. You got new players in and out of there. So we'll give them some time to kind of get things going. So anyways, let me go ahead. I'm going to update these live lines. Let me know if you guys have any questions in the chat. But I'll be right here. I'm just going to update these live lines to reflect what we've got right now. So let's see. Now we've got the Chargers the Chiefs are down to -3. Money line has fallen to 165. This is on Bovada. Chargers plus 125, and the over/under 49.5. Now over on Bet Online, let's see if we can find this live betting here. Something else I want to mention to you guys: if you're betting with online sports books, you should absolutely be what we call line shopping. So you should really have an account open with as many sports books as you can legally have an account open with. Now, I know some of you might not want to have 5, 10, 15 sports book accounts. I understand that, but I would certainly have at least a couple. And the reason being, and of course have those accounts funded, because I want to show you just the discrepancies here between each of these sports books that I'm looking at right now. And I'm going to put them up on the line so you can see them in just a minute. But Bet Online has the Chiefs as a 3.5 point favorite. They've got the money line at just -180. And then they've got the Chargers at plus 150. And the over/under at 49.5. Okay. So in this case, not entirely different. Let me put this up for you at the bottom here. But you got a half-point difference right now. Now, you can a lot of times find lines that are drastically to me would be a point and a half, 2 points difference. So my point being, though, let's say you were backing the Chiefs right now, right? Why would you lay 3.5 points on Bet Online if you can go to Bovada and get them at -3? That's silly. And those little nuances, those little differences are what are going to make the difference between a winning better and a losing better over the course of 1,000 bets, right? Money line, same thing. You want to back the Chiefs? Well, do you want to take them at -165 or do you want to take them at -178? Again, makes a big difference. Those numbers don't sound like big amounts, but it's a big deal when you're betting consistently throughout the regular season. Totals on the over/under right now are exactly the same, 49.5, although the price on them is a little bit different. If you're going 115 here on Bet Online, you got 130 to the under on Bovada, even money on the over. So again, value to be had there, depending on which side you want to bet. Herbert's dropping back. He's got a man. Yeah, he looks comfortable. Now, these guys have played each other a couple times already, Mahomes and Herbert. They both look good every time. But Herbert, just for being as young as he is and new into the league, he's just a stud back there. The dude is incredible. So they've got the stats up on the screen right now. He's 2-0 at Arrowhead. He makes good decisions, doesn't tend to turn the ball over a lot. Keenan Allen being out it hurts. But we saw last week, Herbert didn't target anyone on the team more than 4 targets. And they had, I think, 7 guys that drew 4 targets each. So talk about spreading the ball around and really not having to rely on any one person. He's going to be able to figure it out. But yeah, they look solid. They're already up over midfield. So we've got some live betting opportunities here. Chargers first quarter to me is a good value. I'm actually going to jump on that one right now. Chargers first quarter at -115. Again, something else I really want to stress to you guys when I'm placing bets. There's a big difference between betting to win and betting to win right now. My philosophy is always I'm here to win in the long run, right? Whether that's over the course of a month, a year, a career, whatever it is. At the end of the day, I'm going to win. Versus people who are interested in winning right now, meaning every bet that they place, they want that to be a winning bet, regardless of value, regardless of anything else. The problem with those types of bettors is ultimately they will lose everything because they are ignoring the odds and the value and how likely something is to happen over the long run, right? So I don't know if you guys just saw that price movement right there. We were able to get, if you're following along, I was able to grab the Chargers first quarter money line at -115, almost a pick 'em essentially because it's really never going to be even odds. Play or two later, we're up to -240 right now. So I wouldn't lay that. Now it's up to -300. I would not be jumping in right now. So if you guys are thinking about that, I would hold off. And again, this is a scenario right here of a win, not win right now situation. To me, at -115, I can afford to take that bet and I can afford to lose it. Okay, I can afford to lose it over and over and over again. At -300 odds, I can't afford to lose that bet consistently or not even consistently, really ever, because again, I'm going to have to win that bet 3 times just to make up for every one loss at -350. But anyways, you're going to see the numbers jump all over. So just be patient, right? That number could very well come right back down. Or, Herbert could throw an interception right here. They fumble the ball, and all of a sudden the Chiefs are favored in the first quarter again. So don't ever just jump in because of FOMO. If you miss a betting opportunity, you miss a betting opportunity. That's it. It costs you nothing. You've lost nothing. Don't get sucked into this I guess, trap. And I will say that the dangers of live betting, I think, far exceed. I would say they far exceed traditional betting, where you're just placing your bets before the game starts. And the reason being is that, bettors struggle with emotions, and it's hard enough to control those emotions before kickoff when you're just analyzing things and you have all the time in the world to sit down and look at statistics and all that stuff, right? As useless as I think those are. But it's a whole nother story when you are in-game betting. I don't know if you guys, if you're watching my screen here, and let me switch the view so you can see more of the screen. These numbers are changing very often and very rapidly, okay? From the time I just told you about that bet I took, this line has changed 15 times, right? And you see it dancing. It went up to 240, it went to 300, it went to -500, now it's down to -450. It's moving so quickly, and if you haven't been doing this for a long time, you're not accustomed to how quickly things are moving, it's going to give you jitters, and you're going to start panicking a little bit, and that forces you just kind of just like, you feel so rushed that you feel like you have to place your bet. And I think that's the biggest mistake. I used to do it when I was first starting out in live betting. I was so worried about missing out on the bet that I would just take it, whatever it was. I didn't care if the number had changed, if it had doubled or tripled. I didn't care. I was going to take it because I liked it a minute ago, so I have to take it now before it changes again. And I can tell you that's a recipe for instant disaster. And you talk about another issue with live betting is you can lose your entire bankroll in a session easily in one game, because right? You have access to continue to bet, and you can, if you're not happy with the first bet that you took and you think it's going to lose, you start betting on something else. Before you know it, you've put in 10, 15, 20 bets. And oftentimes those bets that you're putting in are not with sound judgment, because you're reacting to all this movement. You're reacting to the idea that you're going to miss out if you don't hurry up. And that tends to make you make decisions that, again, are not sound, that maybe you would not normally make. So 4th down now for the Chargers. About 6.5 minutes left in the quarter. And I think they're setting up a field goal unit. It's 4th and short. Yeah, it looks like they're going to kick the field goal. So obviously, for my case, I'm hoping, what I need for them to do is win this quarter, right? If it's if hopefully they go up 3-0 here. Yeah, it's 4th and 2. I'm not surprised. I shouldn't say I'm surprised. I wouldn't have been surprised if they went for it. Not at all surprised that they're kicking the field goal. I think they are probably showing a good amount of trust in their defense by kicking the field goal, right? Because they're kind of setting the tone for this game. Hey, three points matters. What they're not saying is, hey, I think we need a touchdown every time to win this game. They're happy with the field goal. So right now, we're at a commercial break. You guys see the lines here. We've got Chargers at -400 for the first quarter. Again, let me show you. Let me open up this bet so you guys can see what I've got open. I've got the Chargers first quarter at -115. So obviously I like that. You can see at the bottom here, I have a lot of people ask me about, should I cash out a bet, or, when should I cash out a bet? The real answer to that for you is probably never. You should probably never cash out a bet. And I'm going to explain why. If you look at what they're offering me right now, they're offering me $296, call it $297. Heck, let's call it $300. And the bet that I have right in there now is $230 risk to win $200. So they're essentially saying, hey, why don't we just give you $70? Take your original $230 back. Here's a $70 profit, and you walk away from this bet. Well, that proposition of theirs does not match to the odds of the Chargers winning this quarter, right? They have the odds set here at -400. So what they're offering me is far less than this number. If they were offering me, I don't know, $350, right? $150 or $120 profit, $130 profit, I would absolutely take that. Even though it's short of what I stand to make here, I could take that profit, eliminate any risk there is, which there's plenty of risk. We got Patrick Mahomes about to get the ball. So I'm well aware that he can score a touchdown in 6 minutes. But that's probably the only route. But for me to take, a $70 profit right now, that's great. And for some of you, that's what you're hoping to make in a night. But mathematically, it's not the right play. And if I was going to continue to have that mindset for every bet that I placed, I wouldn't be very profitable for very long, because I'm going to place this bet sometimes and I'm going to lose $230, or I'd be placing this bet and taking a $70 win. Not going to work out very often. So got a couple comments here. Let's see what you guys are thinking. Josh is in the house. What's going on, Josh? Hey, Adam, what's going on, bud? Yeah, you're talking about struggling with emotions and FOMO. Man, I'm telling you what, I've been fortunate to be a winning sports bettor now for a couple years going here. And the reality is, though, I was losing money for a lot longer than I've been winning. And I was young, and the issue isn't even always about you not knowing or how to pick winners. A lot of people think betting sports is about picking winners. Believe it or not, that's not the hardest part at all. It's an emotional game, and understanding how to manage your bankroll is probably the number one thing that leads people to go bankrupt. And again, and that ties into your emotions, right? How do you understand to just consistently bet a number instead of saying, I'm going to bet half of my bankroll in this game because I really like it, and then, like Adam just mentioned there, making it real, the FOMO of missing bets. And with live betting, that was definitely a thing that I struggled with. So hopefully you guys, it sounds like, you've identified that, and hopefully you're not making that issue anymore. I'm going to throw this comment up here really quickly so everyone can see it. But yeah, if you guys have questions about anything, certainly let me know, or strategies on how to overcome this stuff. Honestly, a lot of it's going to sound silly, but it's maturity. You know, it took me growing up as a person, but then also it took me losing, I think, a lot to figure this out. So, all right. So Josh is asking, I can't see what's your bets right now. That's a great question. So Josh, in the bottom right-hand corner of my Bovada screen here, you'll see the open bets, but I'm actually going to update these lines first, and then let me throw the open bets up on the screen for you guys as well. So right now we've got Chiefs are down to as a 2-point favorite. Their money line is at -145. I'm only going to update these like maybe every commercial break or something. They're going to change way too often for me to just do it all night long. But now we've got Chiefs at -140, -2.5 points. All right, so I'm going to pop these up here. Let me pop this up here for you guys. Hide that. Let me show you my current bets that I have open. I've got Chargers first quarter money line at -115, 230 to win 200. All right. Oh, let me fix that. All right. All right, Josh, you were asking. So my current bet right now, I've got the Chargers first quarter money line. I got them a while back, I think right before you joined, actually. So I got them at my odds of -115. Far too late for anyone to jump in on that right now. So probably don't do that. Carlo, you're asking how I manage my emotions at this point. Again, for me, I've just learned my lesson the hard way. I got my ass kicked, betting live for a long time. I was young. I lost a lot of money, man, since I've been betting. Mom, Dad, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry, but I've been betting since I was like 14 years old. I don't even know how we got started in middle school, but someone had a bookie and it was the cool thing to do. So now that was before live betting came along, but yeah, just again, it really just got my butt kicked in here and learned to just grow up again, maturity. And I've understood now my best bets come when I'm sound and I'm focusing more on the odds than anything else. So I've kind of set in my mind, like I wouldn't have taken the Chargers first quarter money line when it got up to -300. I just knew that because I've done that so many times in the past and I've been burned. As far as my bankroll goes, so I'm going to do a couple videos about sports betting bankrolls because this is probably the #1 thing that is misunderstood and I think leads people down to losing a lot of money very quickly. So general advice that I would give right now is everyone's working with a different bankroll, right? Some of you are here with $100, some of you are here with 500, 1,000, 5,000, whatever it might be. General rule of thumb, people usually tell you never bet more than 1% to 2% of your bankroll on each bet. And I've always found that to be entirely too conservative. I have no problem with people betting 5% or 10% of their bankroll. And what I mean by that is if you've got $1,000 on your account right now, if you do, and you want to bet $100 on something, I don't see the problem in that. What people tell you is that you want to be able to withstand negative runs. So if you lose 7 games in a row and you're betting $100 every time, well, your $1,000 bankroll just went to $300, and it's going to be hard to recover that. Versus if you had started with 1,000 and you were only betting, say, $50, right, and you lost every time, well, then instead of losing $700, you'd only have lost $350, and you still have that money to make it up. My issue with that philosophy is that if you are losing your first 7 bets, you probably don't know what the hell you're doing anyways. So whether you're betting 1% or 10% at that point in time, you're bound to lose it all at some point. So I think my biggest thing is just make sure you can withstand bad runs. Okay. So again, if you've got that $1,000, I also like to talk about the difference between active bankrolls and passive bankrolls. So what I mean by that is, if you see right now on Bovada, my account, I've got about $5,200 after I put that bet in. That's not my entire bankroll, but that is my active bankroll. That's what I have available to me in this moment to place my bets. Now, if I were to lose all of that tonight for some reason, outside of me figuring out why the hell I lost all of it tonight, I'd be able to reload and replenish that and come back and, continue on where I left off. So take that into account as well. Maybe you have a bigger bankroll, but it's not all available right now. I call that my passive bankroll. But yeah, so Carlo, you usually do 5%. I think that's great. Again, because that's going to allow you to lose some bets, which, look, everyone loses bets. I lose bets. I try not to, but I think I lose them at a smaller percentage. Ooh, that was a dangerous pass. Gosh. I don't know if you guys saw that, but that could have been pick six all the way right there. Luckily, it wasn't. Anyways, you want to be able to withstand those negative runs. They're going to happen, right? But again, I think this is where mentality comes in too, right? If you're a new sports bettor and you lose your first 5 bets, that's a lot different than someone like me who I might have won 100 bets in a row and then I lose 10. Well, me losing those 10 in a row is not going to shake me too much, right? I might be upset about it, but someone who's starting off new and loses a couple bets in a row, those are the people that tend to just say F it, and they go bonkers and they take whatever money they have left and throw it on a game. And I've done that, right? I've been there. Again, anything that you can do wrong in sports betting, I have done at some point in time, but I think I've made it a point to learn from all those mistakes. But yeah, Carlo, your bankroll's huge. If you're doing 5%, I think that's great. Now, I will say there are things that I like to call conviction betting, and I'll do another episode on this one as well. But conviction betting, usually for me, I can get into a game or an opportunity that I feel very strongly about. And it's conviction, not just in the bet that I'm taking, right? Not that I think I know the outcome, but conviction in the odds that are being presented to me, conviction in the time of the game, the score, whatever it is. And I sometimes can go 20% of my bankroll in a situation. Now, I will usually do that in a form of like dollar cost averaging. If you guys, any of you guys out there are in the stock market, or you dabble and you day trade or something like that, my approach to sports betting in game a lot of times is very similar to dollar cost averaging. And what I mean by that is, let's say right now we see the over-unders at 47 points. And let's say I really like the under on 47 points. I'm not going to just go in here, just like I used to do, and put all of my $5,000 on the under 47 points, right? I might come in here, though, and put a $200 bet in, okay, and see how things progress over the next couple minutes. Let's see if anything changes fundamentally about the game. And those are the changes I'm looking for. I'm not necessarily just looking at the score of the game. Obviously, the score matters. But let's say, a drive from now, that line drops to 46.5 points. Okay, maybe I still like it. I think everything's good. Put in another $200 bet. But my point is, I'm dollar cost averaging because I want to see what if all of a sudden a punt return a punt that gets returned for a touchdown, and then they return the opening kickoff for a touchdown, and boom, 14 points later, that over-under jumps to 55 points. If I had put all my money in on the under 47, you're screwed, or at least you're in a bad position comparatively. So dollar cost averaging, quote unquote, is what I like to do here. That's another way of me kind of being able to bet more on something, but over time and not really taking all the risk at once. So tell me, what are you guys liking about this game so far? Are you watching the game? Or are you just following on the Gamecast? You guys rooting for anyone in particular, or what? Say, Carlo, right now your Chargers and unders is looking good, but game's early. Let me update these live lines for you and get them back up here. The defenses have looked solid. That's what my takeaway has been so far. Defenses have looked really good. Chargers have been poised, though. They're picking up the rush. Herbert's got time. And boom. Is that Mike Williams? Yeah. Dude's a beast. So they're flagged down on the play. Mike Williams just caught a ball at the 1-yard line. I'm assuming it's defensive pass interference, but not sure. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it must be defensive pass interference. So we got huge movements on the line right now. Chargers have swung to a 2.5-point favorite. So let me change this now. Chiefs are getting 2.5. Chiefs are plus 120. Chargers minus 155. The over-under jumped up to 51.5. So in that example I was just telling you guys about, I was joking about taking the under 47. And that was what, a minute ago, 2 minutes ago? And now we're up to 51.5. So that's a great example of why I never would just put everything in this early in the game. Now, if I'm ever placing a bet that big, and I have done it and I still do it sometimes, that bet's going to be in the fourth quarter, right? I'm going to be a lot more sure of the situation and how the game's playing out. Don't recommend anyone to do that. But again, if you're ever like really vindicated about something and feel very strongly about it, it better be late in the game, because there's too much time right now for Patrick Mahomes and for Justin Herbert. There's too much time for you to think and be naive that you know what's going to happen for the rest of this game, because you don't. All right. Let's see. Bet online right now. Their odds are locked, which pretty much means they're waiting for – they want to see what's going to happen here on this drive. So a lot of times when teams have got the ball like on the 1 yard line and they're about to score or something, sports books a lot of times will just lock the line so you can't bet anything until they see what's happening. So we've got actually Chargers at minus 160 there, which puts the Chiefs at plus 3. So now the Chiefs are getting 3 points. Chiefs are at plus 135. And the Chargers are minus 165. Over under here is at 50.5. All right, so let me put this up for you and make sure it reads correctly. So my first quarter bet cashed. Let's see if it paid out already. Yeah, so you can see right here, Chargers first quarter money line, that paid out. So that's $200 on the night, 2 units. It's a good start. Again, I'm not trying to win $3,000-$4,000 tonight. I'm really just trying to identify a couple good bets. If we're up 3 units on a game, I'm happy with that. For me, a unit being $100, so $300 on a game, I'm happy. To be completely honest, this is going to sound crazy, but my worst nightmares are the days where I win a ton of money. And I've had days, I've had $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 profit days where just literally everything wins. I could go 20 for 20, 30 for 30 on a game or a series of games. And I know you're sitting there thinking, why is this idiot saying that's the worst thing that could happen? But the reality is, when you get accustomed to winning A, that much money, and B, that often. So when I go 20-0, for example, the biggest struggle becomes the next day and the day after it. Because when you finally lose a bet, it does something to you mentally. And that's when I'm definitely my most vulnerable, is after a huge series of winning days or after a huge winning day. That first loss afterwards can really, really shake you, especially depending on how you lost the game. Now, there's to me, there's 2 different ways of losing a game. There are bad beats, right? Where in bad beats, I think a lot of people misuse that and tend to think everything they lose is a bad beat and they got unlucky. The reality is that's not usually the case. And then there are bets that I usually lose that are fundamentally flawed. And keep in mind that my philosophy here is actually, I'll shut up for a second because Chargers are on the 1 and about to snap the ball. So second goal, boom, touchdown. Herbert drops back, touchdown Horvath. So 9-0 Chargers, about to kick the extra point here. So those lines are about to change again. So guess we'll get those updated again. But yeah. great start for the Chargers here. Now, I'm not quite ready to hop on the Chiefs side yet, but I'm fairly certain that if the Chargers were to go up 17-0, I'm going to be looking at that Chiefs spread pretty aggressively. Mahomes is too good, in my opinion, to just get destroyed all day long. But at some point, if they have to abandon the running game, whether that's in the second half or what have you, and Mahomes is just dropping back every play, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. So let's see why these odds aren't updating quickly enough. Kind of surprised. Okay, there we go. Yeah, these sports books are lagging a little bit. It's either that or Amazon Prime is delivering this content super quickly without much of a delay. If you guys are watching the game right now and you're here, let me know where you're watching it, like what channel or what network you're watching it on. Banners. Okay, let's get this updated charge. Chiefs are getting 3.5. They're plus 145. Totals of 51.5. Chargers here getting plus 3. Plus 160. It's 210. All right. Okay, so let's see what we got here from you guys. Josh is watching on Prime. Carlos watching on Prime. Nice. Yeah, I really like this. There we go. So this is what I'm talking about. I mean, Mahomes is too good. The Chiefs are too good to just get beat up all game long. So this is not a time I would usually take a bet. I'm really tempted to go second quarter over here or first half over at this point. It just jumped to 26.5. So this is a tough spot for me. I think if you guys weren't watching right now, if I didn't have to worry about other people following along, perhaps I would take this over. I don't love the 26.5. I think actually what might be a better play is if the Chiefs were to score a touchdown, especially fairly quickly, and that number jumped up over 27 points, which it would, I would then consider an under. But I think they've got the number right now. You're looking at 2 touchdowns and a field goal here. I think these teams are going to start moving the ball quicker in the second quarter. That's typically how games play out. And this actually follows a pattern that I've seen a number of times. But when you kind of have a slower paced first quarter like we did, and then you get this kind of fast movement action in the second quarter, again, if we see some fireworks here in the second quarter, I can almost assure you I'm going to be grabbing an under at some point in the second half. We actually saw a very similar situation play out in the Monday Night Football game with the Seahawks and the Broncos, which that game sucked, by the way. If you guys watched it, just sucked terribly. Josh. Josh says, too late, he took the over. I'm sorry, buddy. I hope I didn't talk you into that, but I like it. $10 on the Chargers to win the first half and over on total points. So wait, Josh, did you take 2 different bets? Did you take one on the Chargers to win the first half and one on the over, or did you like parlay those or something? But yeah, I'll be rooting for you then. I'm gonna stay out of this one and hope that they score a bunch of points. But what was I saying here? Oh, the Seahawks and Broncos, terrible game, but we saw this happen where in the second quarter, they got a couple kind of fluky scores, especially towards the end of the second quarter. I think they went into halftime, the score was 17-13, so they put up 30 points in the first half. But if you watch that game, there was nothing that looked good about either of those offenses, and it just seemed to me that it was very unsustainable moving forward. So first quarter played out very slowly in that game. Second quarter, we had some action. They put up a bunch of points. Second half was abysmal for a million different reasons, I'm sure you guys know, but that game just flew under. So Carlos says you got the over at 24.5 points. Nice. Okay. Well, I feel like I just have to, out of solidarity, put a bet in here for you guys, but maybe I'll not do that. And if you lose, I can maybe refund your bets or something like that. So I do want to point something out. So this is interesting here. I like that you guys took this. So Josh, you took the over. Josh, what did you get the over at? I thought I saw that you wrote it somewhere, but I don't think I see it there. I know Carlo got 24.5 points. Oh, Josh got 23.5. Well, that's amazing. So you were able to catch it, I guess, as I was maybe saying it or something, and I didn't get a chance to click it. That's fantastic. So obviously Carlo and Josh, huge difference there in those lines, and I'm sure you guys recognize why. Even though it's a point apart, it's really an entire score difference, right? Because if these guys score 2 touchdowns, right, 7.7 points, Josh goes over 23.5. Carlo, you're going to need that extra field goal or what have you. One thing I really want you guys to pay attention to too also is right now, for example, it's at 25.5. Okay. There's really no difference between 25.5 and 24.5. And yes, I know it's a point difference, but in terms of possessions go, there's really no situation in which you would win one and not the other, or lose one and not the other. So got Kelsey over the middle, boom. Flags down. Hopefully that's not coming back. Nice. All right. So we've got, let's see what kind of lines we're looking at now. Why is this not updating the way I'd like it to? Okay, up to 26.5 again. Mahomes is rolling out. Oh, wow. Dude, that's why Mahomes is just Mahomes. Oh, sorry, Josh. Okay, I'm gonna start shutting up. I'm gonna definitely delay myself like a couple seconds here now that you said that. I was gonna ask you guys what, if there was a difference between what I'm seeing and what you're seeing. Now you've probably seen it. So those are the kind of touchdowns that just Mahomes and Mahomes only can really create. Like, the dude is the king of the sidearm running out of bounds, just like, it's silly. But that's why I struggle with the line on this game. You've got 2 incredible quarterbacks, so they can do anything at any point in time. So it's really about focusing on a number, trying to find a good spot. But to me, this is why I do not bet on games before they start. You just don't know what's going to happen until you really are in the moment. You can start to identify some trends. I would have liked to, actually, I didn't have the option here, but sometimes you'll have the option to bet on the outcome of a certain drive, right? Will they score a touchdown, a field goal, or no score at all? And I strongly advise people to usually never bet those kind of bets, but there are certain possessions where I've just seen it happen too many times. This being one of them, I just felt very confident the Chiefs were going to drive down and score very quickly. I would have liked to be able to get that one, but that's okay. Well, I'm glad we got a quick touchdown for you both. Now, the only thing is, Josh, I know you said you got the Chargers first half as well and the over. So the only thing with that is they can obviously both still win, but they were kind of conflicting bets in that you wanted the Chiefs to come down and score for your over. But in doing that, you've also now kind of put yourself in a worse spot with the Chargers. Whereas if you would have just taken the over and then waited until now, right, you can reassess and say, okay, well, do I still like the Chargers? And if you do, you'd be getting them at a much better price. Or you'd have the option of saying, no, you know what, Mahomes looked way too good on that drive. I don't want to mess with him. So, but I still like it. I think think it could all pan out. So let's see what else. What other bets we got right now? We've got live first half. We got the Chargers -3. Over under updated is at 27.5. If either one of you at this point, for whatever reason, was either A, uncomfortable with your over bet, you have a good opportunity to hedge it here, where you could still possibly win both, but you would assure yourself of not losing both. Again, not something I typically recommend unless you really are like regretting something that you've put in previously. For the game now, we've got the Chargers minus, is this still 2.5? Yeah. I think that's kind of weird. I feel like the line hasn't really changed a whole lot. Chargers are -129. Okay, let me update this stuff. The Chiefs are +2.5, I think, on both sites. Chiefs are even money. I'm just going to put +100 for that. Chargers are -145. Over under is up to 54.5. So this is what I like to see because it's now moving north of what the closing line was. And if it keeps moving that way, I'm sure I'll be snagging an under bet at some point in time. Just get this bet live. Actually, we got 55.5 on Bet Online. Now, I have not taken my own advice. I actually don't have any of my funds on Bet Online right now. I was waiting on a deposit bonus to unlock over there, and I have to reach out to my account manager and see if he can send that over to me because they have really good deposit bonuses over there. So I just didn't want to put any money on until they activated that for me. But in retrospect, I wish they would have because I'd like to be taking the unders on Bet Online right now. Change. Minus. Okay. Put these lines back up. All right, Chargers kicking off. Ball's out. Oh, shit. They're saying he's down. Sorry, Josh. Shut up. Okay. Sometimes on sportsbooks, you'll see these lines like this one. Oh, okay, never mind. It's active now. It wasn't active for a minute. 29.5. Okay. Josh is going to back out of the game, come back in. Okay, good luck. Hopefully that does something. Carlo, how are you feeling about the over 24.5? So who else is in here today? I know we got Josh, we got Carlo. I know Adam was in here for a little bit. I'm not sure if he's still in here. But who else is in the room today? Let me know what you guys are thinking. If you got any bets in, where you're from. And if you have any questions about live betting in general, so this is all I do is bet live in games. Rarely am I taking anything before the game starts. We like to pick our spots here. So I do like the way this game's unfolding. Again, I'm waiting for that second half. I think we're going to get an over-under that I really like for the game. And I'm just hoping that we can run up the score a little bit here. Now, one thing I do want to talk about is just sent this my own. Oh, nice, Josh. Thanks, bud. Appreciate that. One of the things that, and this is something I have actually just kind of recently learned isn't the right word, but kind of come to the realization of, is that whenever I used to bet live, which, like we're doing now, I used to focus a lot on the full game lines. So, up here, like if I was placing a bet right now, I would focus on betting, the Chargers for the game or the over-under for the game. And what I quickly realized is that it actually didn't make any sense for me to be doing that. What I should have been doing, and what I'm doing now, some of you are too, is if you like something at the time, really hone in on that specific moment. So that quarter, for example. And the reason being is that there's going to be one of two scenarios that are going to play out. So let's say, for example, right now, we got the first half, Chargers are -3.5, right? And let's say I was thinking of taking the Chargers for the game, okay? Well, one of two things could happen. The Chargers could go on to destroy the Chargers in this quarter, or destroy the Chiefs in this quarter. Let's say the Chargers go into halftime and it's 30-7, right? They just go crazy here in the next few minutes. Well, at that point in time, yes, I took them for the game, but had I just taken them for the quarter, I would have already won my bet, right? Because what I thought that was going to happen happened in that moment. And now there's no guarantee that the Chiefs don't come back in the second half, right? So now I didn't capitalize on my theory in that moment. The flip side of that is this. What if I took the Chargers, for the first half and they end up not covering and I lose my bet, right? Well, yeah, that could happen. But in doing so also, the Chargers now are at a much better number for the rest of the game, right? So if that was your thought process and you still stand behind it, well, you can now grab the Chargers at a much better price or a much better spread for that second half, and maybe you double down on that. So it just kind of makes sense to, not to mention when we're feeling something or when we think we've identified a trend, that's only going to be relevant for so long, right? Because if the Chargers have figured out a way to pick Kansas City apart, it's only a matter of time before Kansas City makes adjustments. And keep in mind, the biggest adjustments always come at halftime, right? So if you think you're onto something, take it in that moment. Now, I'm not saying bet play by play. That's absolutely absurd. I know people do that because you have the option on right here. What will the outcome of the next play be? That's just gambling. Don't ever do that unless you're just at home trying to have some fun. Because if you think you can correctly predict what these offensive coordinators are thinking, these guys, half of them don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. So don't think there's any rhyme or reason to the plays that are being called for most people, especially with the odds that are going to be listed here. This is a losing scenario every which way you cut it. But again, betting the moment as in that specific quarter, I'm all for that. And then obviously when you get to the fourth quarter, that's when you're really betting for the remainder of the game, as what's going to happen over, under, sides, or whatnot. So, all right, what do we got now? Live first half, line has dropped to 25. Okay. So we're sitting at 17 points right now. Again, 25 is really no different than 26.5. Essentially the same thing. So don't, that's the other thing. If you're stuck on a number, if you've bet a number and it looks a little bit different than that one, don't be too concerned. But it sounds like both of you got lower numbers in this, so that's good. Yeah, not a whole lot's changed in the last couple minutes. So we'll see what we got going on. Does anyone here, you guys big into parlays or teasers, anything of that nature? Let's see here what the Chiefs can do backed up. So, yeah. I keep wanting to test that under, but to me, when I'm thinking about over-unders right now, in my head, I'm really calculating number of possessions left for each team in this half. And I think about the outcome. Give either team the ball with a minute left in this half. I'm confident either team could score a field goal, if not a touchdown. So I'm not so much worried about that last minute to 2 minutes of the half. My thought is who's going to score a touchdown between the 8-minute mark and the 2-minute mark. So obviously we've got this current possession right now for the Chiefs, but really with the way this game's been moving, these guys are completing short passes. They're running the ball effectively. So they're going to be eating clock. We're not seeing a ton of big plays down the field. You know, we had one earlier to Mike Williams down there, but I don't think you're going to see a lot of – I think that moment has passed us. I thought we could see some fireworks here. I think that's gone. So I really think we're down to the Chiefs having this current possession and maybe one more. And again, of course, with the Chargers wedging in between there. So 3 possessions, how many times do you think they're going to score out of that? To me, it hinges all on this drive right here. Because, again, I think whoever has the ball last in this half is going to score some number of points, whether it's a field goal or touchdown. So Adam likes pregame parlays, give some bang for the buck. I found my sweet spot is 3-pick parlays or 4-pick. So Adam, I appreciate you answering that question. Now let me ask you this, or I want to show you something, because this is gonna be my next video. It's gonna be about parlays, and my question to you, Adam, is looking at week 2 NFL slate, for example, or college football. I know you're a college football guy. Tell me 3 games that you might be interested in putting into a parlay, or 4 games, or what have you. I'm curious to know, because you said something there about bang for your buck, and this to me is one of the biggest misconceptions out there about parlays, is that people tend to think that by taking a parlay, by grouping your games together, you're getting, added value. But the funny thing is, I don't think people realize how parlays pay out. And I'm going to show you that. If you let me know what games you're interested in, or any games, I'm going to kind of build you a sample parlay here and show you something interesting that you may or may not already know. But dude, I don't know how you guys feel about the Chiefs offense without Tyreek Hill. I think in week 1, they made it a point to prove that they didn't need him. They weren't going to miss a beat. And interesting enough is they were able to do a lot of things that they could have done with Tyreek, but the difference was that they needed like 4 or 5 different guys to be able to do that. So like Tyreek can just do everything. You can get him on an end around. You can have him flying down the field. You can have him crossing routes. You can have him on, in the slot. And he could just do it all incredibly well. And the Chiefs were able to do that in week 1. But again, they ended up just using 4 or 5 different guys, had each of those guys specialize in an area. So I think they kind of just made it a point to do that. So Adam, I'm not sure if you're still following along, but what I want to show you guys is how parlay payouts are calculated. Because this is, again, if you know this already, my apologies, but if you don't, I think this might be mind-blowing, because again, people think that parlays are like these big added value things. Here's let's just, for whatever reason, let's say we're going to take a parlay with Florida State -2.5, Air Force -16.5, and the over on Cincinnati, Miami. I'm just taking the first 3 games that are on this college football slate. And let's say we're going to parlay it, and we're going to risk $100. Okay. So you can see here, we'd be risking $100. We stand to win $581.39. Okay. Now, a lot of people tend to think like, okay, this parlay is just giving me all this extra value because all 3 games have to win, of course. If any one of those games loses, your bet loses. But check this out. Let's say we were to go over to the singles, right, and we just bet these games individually, okay? And let's say we take that same $100, okay, and we bet it on Florida State, okay? Now, if that bet wins, we would win 86.96, which would give us now a balance of 186.96, right? Then what we do is we take that 196.96, plug it in here, and you bet it on the next game, which is Air Force, minus 16.5. And you would stand to win 169.96. Cool. So now at that point, we've got our 186.96 plus what we won, 169.96. So now we're sitting there with $356.92. Now, if you take that, you plug that into the next bet, you stand to win $324.47. So you would end up with $681.39, which if you look at our parlay, is exactly how much you would end up with. That's exactly how much you would end up with if you parlayed and if you. So my point is this, guys. All a parlay is, the way the odds are calculated, is the parlay is just assuming you are taking your full amount of money and rolling it over every single time onto a new game. There's no added value into a parlay. All it's doing is locking you into a commitment of betting multiple games. And sports books rely on the fact that over time, you're always, not always, but over time, you're always going to end up losing, right? If you're doing a 20 leg parlay, you know, you might hit 19 of those games every time. But guess what? Over time, you're going to lose one of them, and that's where the sports books are going to get you. So my point is this too, like, there is a time and place for parlays. If you're trying to have fun and you want to throw $20 on a 10-team parlay because it's going to pay out, you know, $10,000, whatever, sweet, nothing wrong with that. But I do think that if you're like really serious about making money in the long run, the only time it makes sense to take a parlay is if the games are concurrent, meaning they're happening at the same time, okay, and you're working with a limited amount of money. So if you only had $50 in your account and you really wanted, you know, really wanted to bet, what are some games that are having 12 o'clock games? Okay, you've got Georgia, I think, yeah, Adam just mentioned that, 23.5 and the under, you know, so same game parlays. That's a great example of, you know, where you might think they're correlated. That makes sense to do a parlay if you think they're correlated. But what I see too often is people taking, you know, Georgia at noon, then they're going to take Oregon at 3 o'clock or 3:30, and then they're going to parlay that with the Monday night football game and the Sunday 1 o'clock game. It makes no sense because all you're doing is locking up your money for that entire duration, whereas you could have just bet your money on the first game, let it pay out, and then decide, do I want to put it all on this next game? Because that's all you're doing in a parlay is just winning a bet, taking all of your money and rolling it into the next bet. That's what you're doing. And a lot of people don't realize that. And that's why you hear all these stories about people who are like in a 10-game parlay, they win their first 9, and then they're like, well, should I cash out my Monday Night Football bet? Should I hedge it? Well, you never should have had your Monday Night Football bet in this parlay in the first place, because you could have just rolled your money over until every other game, cashed, you know, won those bets, and now be sitting with all that money. And now you decide, do I want to put it all on the Monday night game? Or do I not want to put it on the Monday night game? So it's just an interesting way. You know, I want people to make sure they understand how odds are calculated on parlays. There's no added value on them. All it is you taking money, winning a bet, and taking all of it and rolling it on into the next game and the next game and the next game. But I'm going to be following your advice here, Adam. You've been pretty hot lately from what I know in college football. Who's UNC playing this weekend? I don't see you have any takes on them. All right. So we're at the 2-minute mark. Chargers got the ball right around midfield. I was going to say in the last 2 minutes of the game, I would fully expect a score. For everyone here's sake, I'm hoping we get a quick score because I think even if the Chiefs get the ball back with 45 seconds left, it's more than enough time for a field goal for them. So, I kind of, I don't want to say I missed my spot on the under because I just wasn't fully, I liked it. Maybe I got caught up talking too much, but I wasn't 1,000% sold on it. So I'll wait for my other, for more spots in the third or fourth quarter and then take it from there. Let's see what we've got here left. What are they predicting for the rest of this half? So they've got the Chargers as a 6-point favorite right now, the first half. I don't like that at all. I'm tempted on Chiefs +6. Reason being, the Chargers are going to try their damnedest to eat up clock here. I think, one, they want to score points, top priority, but number two is they don't want to give the ball back to the Chiefs. So I could see them being less aggressive and more conscious of running clock, which in my mind might end up setting them up for a field goal at best. With that said, I could easily see the Chiefs coming out and getting a stop here, getting a sack or a tackle for loss, and forcing a punt. That would not shock me at all. This line right here has already built in a first down, basically, for the Chargers. So that's my problem with this line, and that's why I think there's no value there. So if I was ever looking at this first half bet, I'm going to pass. I'm not taking either side, but the value is definitely on the Chiefs because, again, they're already building in the first down into this line, and they're really pushing the touchdown narrative, right? Because if at a field goal here, the Chargers are just pushing, right? They go up 6 points. And plus, at that point, the Chiefs might still get the ball back and, have a chance to go down and win that bet. I don't know why I'm not taking the Chiefs +6. Yeah. Yeah. I'll try to sneak one in. Let's see. Ah, shit. I should have stuck with my gut. It was too late. I tried to take the Chiefs +6 for the first half. I'll be honest. I think I just was overthinking that one. That was too easy. Damn, that bet was way too easy. And not from a, I knew it was going to win perspective. No, that's not what I'm saying. From a value proposition, that bet was a slam dunk. And that's the whole win in general versus win now. Obviously, it's great to do both of those things, win now and win in the long run. But that was a home run of a winning bet right there. So that was stupid of me. And I feel like I missed an opportunity for you guys there too. So my apologies. So now the problem is this is going to go from Chargers -6 to probably Chargers -2.5 first half is my guess. At least it should. So let's see what it comes out as. Oh, I'm pissed off. I know you probably can't tell it on my face, but I'm really pissed. That was an easy one. Easy, easy, easy. So at halftime, I'm going to take a little break here. The channel is going to stay up. Everything will be fine. I'll just step off camera for a little bit, regroup, and then I'll be back right before the third quarter kicks off. I would love to see you guys hanging around later because most of I think, typically, a lot of my bets that I take will be later in the game. But totally understand it's late. People got stuff to do. So if you don't hang around till the end, I really appreciate you guys being here. Well, let's see. Let me know if you've got any new thoughts on the game compared to what you expected early on, and how things have played out now. We've still got the Chiefs are plus 2.5. Nothing's really changed there. Money lines are fairly the same. I'm not even seeing a first half line anymore. Again, I expected it to be 2.5. Chargers just dropped to -1.5 for the game. Nice. Josh is going to be here. Sounds good. So that over-under has dropped drastically there, guys, from when I was eyeing it at 54.5, right? It's down 10 points. So this is one of those situations where younger me would have been like panic and chasing betting at this point. I would have been like so pissed off that I missed my number at 54.5, and I would have started betting irrationally, and then that never ends well. So Holmes drops back, nothing. Now both teams have 3 timeouts here, so Josh needs to talk through it like you're 5. Yeah, absolutely, Josh. I tend to obviously speak in a way that I'm very familiar with because I've been doing this for so long. If I say anything that just doesn't make sense to you guys, or if you have any questions, don't hesitate to just drop them in the comments. I can definitely, explain things, explain a term or a process or anything like that. I'm happy to do that. But Chargers have 3 timeouts here. There's a chance they could get the ball back. I don't know that it matters to anyone here, but do I wish I had gone under 55? It's funny. You're going to ask me this very simple yes or no question. And of course, instead of me saying yes or no, I'm going to give you like this long-winded response theoretically about some philosophy that I have. So I wish I had taken under 55. No. What I wish I would have taken is, if you remember, I was saying this to you and Carlo earlier. I said if that number goes, it was at 26.5 for the half. And I said if it goes over 27.5, I want to take the under. And it actually went all the way up to 29.5. And I've been talking too much and not focusing on the actual betting part of it. So I just kind of lost track of that. So that's what I regret not taking. Under 55 also looks very good right now, but I don't believe, well, I'm going to say this. The ends do not justify the means. So winning bets are not always the right bets, and losing bets are not always the wrong bets. I'm always happy if I took the right thing in the moment, right? Whether it wins or loses is not typically my concern, because again, I'm here to win in the long run, not in the moment. So I'm confident that if I'm putting in the correct plays time in and time out over the course of the season, I'm going to be much more profitable than I will be losing. So I do wish I would have taken that under. Low-key blaming. No, definitely not blaming anyone. I mean, I'm thrilled that you guys are here. I need you guys to be here, and I appreciate you being here. I am definitely, this is new for me, right? I'm not used to quote unquote entertaining people while I'm betting on sports. It definitely takes a lot of focus to be able to bet on things, especially live, with how fast things are moving. So, if I'm looking at this screen and then I turn here and I turn to the TV, I just need to be better at that. So this is something I'm new at. I am proud that I have not, again, I haven't done that FOMO betting. I haven't, missed something and then just taken the next thing because I missed it. So I'm happy about that. Here's something else. Again, I'm not saying we need to be taking anything right now, but the earlier you are in a game, I said this last week, but the earlier you are in a game, so like first quarter, for example, being as early as you can get, or before the game starts, if you're going to place a bet early, try and focus on the odds that you're getting and not the number. Okay. So what I mean by that is too many people before the game starts focus so much on buying points. Okay. If you've ever heard of this, or Josh, I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, but let's say a team is plus 2.5 and you really like them, but you really wish they were plus 3.5 because common myth tells you that if you buy that point to 3.5, you're now getting a field goal, and that's much safer than getting just 2 points. So you pay an increased price, but you get that extra point as a safety blanket, right? The problem there is, again, that early before the game even kicks off, you have no clue if that 1 point is going to be relevant or if 10 points is going to be relevant, right? That game could end in a 20-point debacle for one team or the other. And in the meantime, what you've done is you've paid this exorbitant price for like this just silly point that, again, may or may not matter. Versus what you can see here is these alternate lines right now. You've got Chargers minus 8.5 at plus 300. Now, 8.5 might not be a number you're super comfortable laying here, but plus 300 at halftime, there's still a lot of time left. Those are great odds. And the way this game's played out, the Chargers have just looked solid, right? Chiefs haven't looked bad. Defenses are dominating these games. The Chargers definitely look better right now. Is it crazy to think that the Chargers could outscore the Chiefs in the second half by a touchdown? Not even a touchdown. Let's go 2 field goals, right? So they kick 2 more field goals, 6 points. They're up 3 now. They win by 9. Is that crazy to think? At plus 300 odds, I don't think so. I would rather put that bet in than I would come up here and take the Chargers money line right now. Okay. Now, halfway through the fourth quarter might be a very different story, right? But this early on with so much can happen, I'd rather. Or alternatively, instead of, if I was going to take the Chiefs, for example, I would probably come down here and let's see, minus 2.5 is plus 110. Yeah. Okay. Here's a great example. The money line on the game right now, if you were to take the Chiefs outright, is minus 110. Okay. Well, if the Chiefs are going to win this game, they're very likely, given the score currently, going to win this game either by a field goal, a touchdown, or 4 points, right? Somewhere in there. So why wouldn't I take them minus 2.5 here at better odds, right? I'm getting them at plus 110 versus minus 105. Because in what scenario are they going to win this game by 2 points? What, they're going to kick a field goal to tie and then get a safety? Yeah, it's physically possible, but not very realistic. So this is where I'd like to use alternate spreads, is when it makes sense. So again, if anyone's thinking about taking the Chiefs right now, you should 100% be looking at this number, minus 2.5. And honestly, I wouldn't be too far off to take this minus 5.5 at plus 180. 5.5 might be a little much, especially if you think it's going to be a 1-possession game. They might be up a field goal or something. But again, if you're siding with it, 10 times out of 10, I would be taking this minus 2.5 as opposed to the money line here. I'm not taking either of those right now, just throwing it out there. So I'm going to take a little break. I appreciate you guys being here. And let me know if you end up taking anything at halftime. Let me know how all of your bets ended up in the first half, if you took anything else or not. And I'll be back. All right, I'm back. We got Eli in the house. Yeah, Eli, makes sense. You hop right into a free bet. Okay, well, I'm going to put Eli in. So let's see if I can grab this. He's taking Chargers minus 5.5 at plus 180. So I'm going to put that in for you, sir. $25 bet. Now, this is a free play, Eli. So what that means is if this wins, I'm going to send you $45. The initial 25 comes back to me. There's basically a no risk bet on your part here. So got Eli locked in. Make sure we get the confirmation here. Boom. All right. Eli's got a bet in. Free bet of the day, minus 5.5 points on the Chargers for the game. I like it. Like it a lot. I think the line, the public's starting to come back to the Chiefs a little bit, but I definitely think the Chargers have looked better here in the first half. So a lot of time for adjustments. We'll see what happens. I'm actually going to take a few minutes here. I'll probably be quiet. I'm going to possibly put together a fourth quarter lineup. If I still have some time. I have 8 minutes left. Try to put together a fourth quarter lineup for DFS. But Chargers are back. Third down and short here to start the third quarter. So, Eli, you take anything pre-game? Got anything going for the whole game here? I'm just scrolling through different plays, what's available here. Player to score the second touchdown, player to score the third touchdown. No, I'm good, thanks. None of that. Highest scoring quarter. Lots of player props on FanDuel. Okay, nice. I hope you were taking a bunch of unders on those player props. There we go. Eckler's running. Dude, probably one of the things I get sucked into, or used to get sucked into a lot in live betting, is this section here. Find it again. It might have gone away. Oh, highest scoring quarter. I've lost way too much on highest scoring quarters. I've won a lot too, but I've definitely lost my fair share. I'll probably have to do a whole segment on these kind of bets because they can get pretty dangerous. And anyways, I'll go into that a whole nother time. But so you've got McKinnon TD score, was it like plus 400? Okay, that's pretty solid. Still plenty of time for him to scoop a little shovel pass and take it in. So you can still take, so just so you guys know too, as you can see here on my screen, you can take in-game props as well. So we've still got some options here on these guys. McKinnon, well, his is crossed out, Juju's crossed out, but you've got DeAndre Carter, Austin Eckler. Now, these will usually come down. I'm actually surprised they're still up into the second half right now, because as the game script becomes a little more apparent late into the game, you tend to realize that, for example, if the Chiefs go into the fourth quarter down 10, you expect Mahomes to be dropping back a little more often, throwing the ball a little more. And so, the odds on Kelsey and Juju and those guys catching more passes becomes more likely. Conversely, guys on the Chargers are probably less likely to be catching passes because they're going to be running the ball and trying to kill clock. So I expect these things to come off the board pretty soon. Chargers have a beautiful drive right now. These are the types of drives that tend to start to sway me into the decisions where I think I know where this game is leaning. So the opening drive of the second half is a really big one, not just from a scoring perspective. Obviously, if they score, it's going to put points on the board, but from a psychological and a mental standpoint. I've seen time and time again where in games that are close like this, the Chargers, I felt, were very dominant in the first half. And even though it's just a 3-point game, they definitely outperformed the Chiefs. And so when they come out and put that opening drive, get those 7 points, it really sends a message. Now, if they were playing any other team other than the Chiefs, I would probably start backing the Chargers pretty heavily if they scored here. But again, I'm not willing to put that much conviction into a team playing against Pat Mahomes at home. And that might be a little stubborn of me because I think, again, the value is probably there on the Chargers right now, but there's the stigma. I'm not going to bet the Chiefs at probably any point in time this game, but there's just enough. I'm questioning it just enough that I might not be backing the Chargers, even though I should. I think in a late game situation, I'm asking myself right now, would I rather be the Chargers defense? Would I rather be backing the Chargers defense or Pat Mahomes? Let's say in like a 2-minute drill, if the Chiefs are down by a point or two, because I think that's where this game ends up going. This is interesting here. Chargers plus 4.5. Now at minus 400, that's a pretty steep price. But again, given the different scenarios I see this game playing out into, I don't see many scenarios, if any, where they're losing this game by a touchdown right now. I know I can't say anything for like 10 seconds so that some of you who may be behind me can watch this game. But touchdown. That's a hell of a catch. It's a hell of a throw, but it's a hell of a catch. That's a sick catch. I think if there was one guy we knew was going to bounce back this week, it was Mike Williams, and not even so much because Keenan Allen being out, but if you guys remember, Mike Williams last year was an absolute beast, and he has tended to underperform, I'd say, for the majority of his career until last year. And then last week, of course, was somewhat of a dud for him, statistically speaking. So, yeah, I'm glad to see him bounce back. All right, well, I better update these live lines now. So things are changing here. Let's see what these books come back with now. Hide these lines. Let me fix them real quick. See what we've got. All right, Chargers minus 3.5. Not as much movement as I expected. That's a very modest move. Again, this tells me the public is kind of what I'm talking through with, the Mahomes stuff. That's where the public's at right now. Because if this was any other situation and the Chargers were up 17-7, a third of the way into the third quarter, they wouldn't be minus 3.5 points right now. The money line at minus 250 is very, very intriguing. I think that's a good value. My only thing is this: at any point in time, the Chiefs can come back and score right now. And even though I might think the Chargers are still going to win the game in the end, I'd rather wait until, I wish I would have grabbed that spot 5 minutes ago, right, at minus 140 or whatever it was. But I think it could go back that way. So Chiefs are now plus 185. Chargers are minus 250. I'm going to get this updated. Over-under is back up to 47, which I like. Okay, on Bet Online, we got the Chargers at Chargers at minus 260, Chiefs at plus 210. $60 over-under at 47 also. And the Chiefs are getting 3.5. Okay, let me put this back up for you guys. So take a look at these live lines, guys. I know they're scrolling, so it might be hard to see. But check out the discrepancy there with the Chiefs money line is plus 210 on Bet Online, and it's only plus 190. So all this to say, just shop around, shop your lines before you're placing bets in. If you were backing the Chiefs right now, obviously you would want to be doing it on Bet Online. If you were backing the Chargers, got minus 250 and minus 260. I think I might have got those backwards. Yeah, I might have flip-flopped those. A couple comments coming in here. Josh says he thinks he's good now. Wait, Josh, what are you good with? FanDuel has him at minus 4.5. Yeah, so see, Eli, that's what I'm talking about. That 1 point is a huge difference, right? The difference between 4 to 5 is a huge difference in this kind of game, given the score and everything like that. So you definitely want to shop those lines around and make sure you're getting the best one for what you're taking. I unfortunately have never had the opportunity to be able to bet with DraftKings or FanDuel sportsbooks. I've just never lived in a state where they've been legal, but trying to be conscious here and not tell you guys what's happening right away. I don't know who's on a delay and who's not. But a lot of stuff happened on that play there. Anyways, I've been betting with Bovada for over 10 years, I would say. Oh, definitely. Well over 10 years. Pros and cons with Bovada. Hands down the best interface. And if you're someone who likes to bet on a variety of things, which a lot of you might not, you can bet on anything on Bovada. So I bet a lot on international basketball, soccer games. A World Cup's going to be coming up later this year. So all those things are going to be available. Payouts, no one's going to be faster, in my opinion. Again, I haven't dealt with DraftKings. I know that DraftKings, as far as DFS goes, their payouts are lightning quick, and I appreciate that. But for a sports book that I've dealt with, especially an international one, Bovada, hands down the best. Matching bonuses, so deposit bonuses, if you guys can use crypto, if you can use Bitcoin specifically, you're not going to find better deposit bonuses than Bovada. Their customer support's pretty good. It's not great. The cons are definitely, good God, this game is starting to get away from us a little bit. Chargers are starting to kind of really dominate this game. I'm going to be looking at the Chargers money line here, unless I see an alternate spread that makes more sense. And I didn't want to pay this price, but I think that's going to stand. I think that pick is going to stand. But the sports books aren't going to open it up until they make an official ruling. So Josh has seen it. Yeah, interception. So I think the ruling on the field was interception. That's going to make a big difference because I don't know that they'll be able to overturn it. But we'll see. We'll see there. So raise your hand if you had Patrick Mahomes being 12 for 14 for under 100 yards into the third quarter. see if I get a chance to play something really quickly here. Taking a look at some. I still got 9 minutes to enter in this DraftKings DFS, so let's take a look, see. So this is a fourth quarter lineup I'm looking to make, and basically I'm going off the game script that Chargers are going to be up going into the fourth, maybe significantly. So we know Mahomes is going to be back dropping the ball. I'm actually going to take a play on the Chargers defense. No, maybe not in the captain spot, but oh. Here's an alternate line that I don't know why people would take, but, again, to each their own. Chargers minus 1.5 points. So you're essentially buying it down from minus 4.5 to minus 1.5. Don't ever do this. Think about the number, not the points that you're buying, okay? 2 points in this game is irrelevant, right? The game's either going to end on a 3-point difference, 4-point difference, 7-point difference, 10-point difference. It's going to be a prime number for football, so 3s and 7s. The difference being 4. 2 points, again, that's you betting on some kind of safety or a 2-point conversion, missed field goal or missed extra point, something like that, which can happen, right? But if you're trying to win in the long run, don't be falling for that kind of stuff. Yeah, that was terrible to overturn that. I 1,000% agree, but this is another kind of lesson I've learned is sometimes you see something and you're so sure of it, right? And you run out and you bet it. And then if you have the opportunity to, and then these calls come back and it's just mind boggling and ends up. So anyways, when there's any kind of uncertainty, I sit back, I'd let it be official before I take my side or do anything, because that's a huge turn of events. You think about that, Chargers grabbing the ball, going down to drive and score to go up 13 or 17 points versus now Chiefs coming down and having a chance to cut into this. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a huge just swing of emotions too. That's crazy, because the energy in these last 2 plays has just totally changed from how this game was going and how it could have been going. Now, I will say this. I think that actually, for what I'm looking to do, which I still ultimately feel that the Chargers are a good value here in this game, that helps me out, right? Because rather than me having to take them at minus, probably would have been over minus 300 at that point if they got that interception. Let's say the Chiefs come down here and it looks like they can put some points on the board. If the Chiefs score here, I think what the public tends to do is overreact. And they say, I knew Mahomes was going to do it. He's the best. And they're going to start betting the Chiefs. However, I try to not lose sight of what I've seen happen throughout the whole game. And what I've seen so far, this drive included, is the Chargers are still the better team right now. I think they might give up some points. But again, I think at the end of the day, I would rather have the Chargers defense right now if it came down to it, to hold Mahomes when they need to. I just don't want to pay the price. 225 is not terrible at this stage in the game. Mind you, the later we get in the game, the bigger that number is going to grow. So if you're really confident in the Chargers winning this game, guys, 225 is about as good of a price as you're going to get from now till the end of the game. Just saying that, because as they maintain a lead into the fourth quarter and the time shrinks, that number starts to grow pretty big. Get 300, 400, 500, 600 late in the game. And that's probably not when you want to be risking all your money. So here's a bet at minus 650. This is a big number to lay. Ooh. I was just going to say, if they didn't score there, that would be something I'd look at. And glad we waited. Look at that. He had like 2 inches to sneak that ball in there. That's crazy. Boom. Okay. So look at that. Chiefs just scored, which is great. Now we've got to see how this game comes back, right? So a few plays ago, we were pretty certain Chargers are going to run away with it. They overturned the interception, and boom, Mahomes takes advantage of it. Instead of it being potentially a 13 or 17-point game, we've got a 3-point game. And we got Chargers at minus 120. We've got Chargers as a – so that's interesting. So they've got no difference in the price right now between the spread and the money line. So no point in you guys betting the spread at this point on the Chargers for the time being. If you're going to take the Chargers here, you would definitely take the money line. Is it likely to factor in? No, but for the same price, there we go. They just changed it. So I think Bovada caught on that there was an error there. So it's at minus 145. I'm going to refresh these lines and see what we've got. I'm going to update them on the screen here. Eli, yeah, you think that prop was crazy? Probably. Yeah, probably. I don't know, at least plus 700, maybe plus 1,000, something like that. Over under back up to 52 points. So that's pretty much where this closing line was. It was at 53 to close before kickoff. And the Chargers are still 2.5-point favorites, though. Let me update these lines for you. Half. 2.5, 52, 51.5. All right. So I'm still just sitting on that one bet. I haven't thrown anything else out to you guys yet. Again, still waiting for this game to really settle to the point where I think I've got a grasp on it. But, stuff happens, like that interception that wasn't an interception. Now, the interesting is, and this is what I kind of look for that I think a lot of people overlook when they're betting on sports, is if you look at that play, they've shown it now 3 times, that replay of the touchdown. The Chargers, so the DB got beat early on, right? He turned the wrong way, essentially. If you saw how quickly he recovered, he almost got a finger on that ball at the end before Watson caught it. Additionally, the whole play was set up. It was almost a broken play. The Chargers had so much pressure on Mahomes. He had to step up. Probably was about to start scrambling and then noticed that his guy had beat the defender last second and was able to just, again, with pinpoint accuracy, drop that pass. Now, how often do you think that's going to happen from now to the end of the game? So the DB got beat, wasn't able to recover in time. That's the first time we see someone get beat like that in this game for the Chargers. The pressure was there, so it's not like this defensive line is fatigued and tired. No, they were putting the pressure on. Mahomes just made a hell of a play. So my philosophy on the game hasn't changed. The score has changed, but my stance on the Chargers here hasn't really changed. So now, again, I'm still happy now that the price is more affordable heading into the middle of the third quarter, if and when we decide to take something. So this is a spot for me where I don't love the price on this at minus 275, but I do feel comfortable putting a bet in on. I do feel comfortable putting a bet in here on the Chiefs third quarter money line. So I'm not totally going to tell you guys to jump all over this one. Mathematically, to me, it makes sense, and I'll explain why. There's 6.5 minutes left, or 7 minutes. Yeah, there's about 6.5 minutes left in the quarter. Kansas City's getting the ball right now on their own 30-yard line. So to me, you've got this current possession. I think the Chargers get the ball back this quarter, okay? But barring a big kind of, big play, meaning interception, fumble, recovery by the defense, if the Chargers get the ball back, I would anticipate that the Chiefs have punted and are kind of playing the field position game. So if the Chiefs can run off, let's say the Chiefs pick up a first down, maybe they don't get a bunch, but let's say they pick up one first down or something, they start running this clock down under 4 minutes before they kick the ball. Say the Chargers get the ball back on their own 20 or on their own 30. This being a third quarter situation, there's no urgency there. The Chargers aren't going to be dying to score. It's not a 2-minute drill, right? So all of this to say, I'm betting the Chiefs right now. They can either score in this quarter, right, and win the bet. But to me, worst case scenario, again, is kind of a push at this point. So that's what I'm going to jump in on here. I'll put this up on my bets. Why does cash out get suspended? Josh is asking, instead of unavailable. So cash my third quarter money line for Chiefs makes 50. So Josh, so basically the difference between unavailable and suspended, not every bet that you place has the option of cash out during the game. And when you go to place a bet, show you one here. Let's say we're taking this one right here. Do you see right down here, it says cash out available. Okay. That's telling you that this bet is eligible for potential cash out opportunities down the line. Not all bets are like that though. So, and I'm not sure, to be honest, this one is, I don't know. They're kind of funny about it, but sometimes when you go to place the bet, you'll notice that option isn't there. And that's when it'll say unavailable. Okay. Suspended means that it is available, but at this moment in time, something's happening. There could be a play that's being reviewed. There could be some kind of uncertainty of what's going on. So they suspend everything so that no one can really do anything in that moment until there's an official ruling or a little more clarity around what's going on. In addition, if it's you're late into a quarter and you've got a quarter bet, they usually will suspend those bets. Like you can't cash it out with 5 seconds left in the quarter. So usually within the last minute or 2 minutes or something within a quarter, you can't cash out bets. All right, so this is the position I wanted to be in when I took this bet, right? I've got the Chiefs. I expect them to be running a little clock. They've got momentum from the last drive, okay? And oof. So they ran a little bit of clock, not as much. So I really wanted them to pick up that first down. I really expected them to pick up that first down. And they didn't. So that obviously hurts. So now watch these odds drop drastically. They're not up yet, but you'll see the odds have dropped considerably from what I took. And now at this point, I'm holding a pretty bad bet because there's very little hope that the Chiefs can win this bet. My best hope is that they push, right? Unless they get a turnover, which I'm not banking on. It's a nice punt, a very nice punt. So that's good. So you guys can see here, I placed this bet $550. I can cash it out right now for $385. Okay, meaning I would just take the loss and say, hey, I'm okay with that. And with 5 minutes left, I mean, that's something I would consider doing. Yeah. So we'll see. I'm not banking on a win. I'd be happy to. At this point, I don't, unless there's some kind of turnover, it'd be very hard for the Chiefs to get the ball back. But hey, there's a start. Eli saying, yep, LA's running, hurry up. They ran no time off the clock right there. So we'll see. I'm happy with a push in this situation because I really expected the Chiefs to get a first down on the last possession. They didn't, which is fine. But they were able to switch the field, which is what I expected. If the Chargers got the ball back, they were going to be backed up. Now, this game, if you guys have noticed, is moving back towards an under game. You had your moments there. We got a couple. We got the Chiefs' quick touchdown. And I think if the Chiefs had scored again, this game could have really opened up. But, this game's starting to turn. I mean, if you see this Chiefs defense right now, they look pretty fierce. So again, it's just hard. This is why I usually like to wait till late in the games before I'm picking my sides. Because at this point, I've been all over the place, right? Chargers have looked like a lock at some point in time, but now the Chiefs are really coming on. See if I can get a stop. Ooh, it's a lot of pressure. Got him. So now this is turning really favorably. You've got the Chargers about to punt out of the back of their end zone. And, you would think the Chiefs are going to field this punt around midfield, which unless we've got a hold or something like that, or this punter is out of this world. Let me put this other bet up on the screen so you guys can see it. Oh, even better. Okay, so now we got live bets up there. So how are you guys feeling? Let me know now. The game is progressing. Do you feel the same way you do right now as you did before kickoff about the side and the score of the game? Seeing what other options we've got up here. The Chiefs are in looks like 4-down territory right now. Good news is the clock's running, so if they miss a field goal or they go for fourth down, they don't get it. The Chargers are going to get the ball back, but wouldn't expect the Chargers to score this quarter. 3rd and 10. I mean, really, your goal is to get in field goal range, which I talked about this at the beginning of the show. Josh is actually ahead of me. Well, I've been delaying myself, Josh, or maybe not. I don't know. But we got the first down there. But Harrison Butker is out for the Chiefs. I talked about this before the game started. That, to me, was a huge deal because in circumstances like this where it might seem very obvious that a team can kick a field goal, when you're missing your go-to field goal kicker who's, fairly automatic, you may not be as comfortable kicking that field goal anymore. So on a 4th and 6, you might decide to go for it on the 35-yard line or the 30-yard line. And I think maybe the Chiefs were probably at that spot, but they picked up the first down. So things are looking good. I'm hoping they can get a score here before the end of the quarter. But if not, we'll take the push. Okay. So Josh is saying he's doubting the Chargers right now. Chiefs at home, home's healthy. He's doubting the Chargers. Okay. I don't disagree with you. So, that's been my seed of doubt this whole time is Mahomes, right? I know what he's capable of. So betting against him is kind of problematic for me. If you're watching this game, though, you see the activity from the Chargers defense on every play, right? Even though Mahomes is completing passes, right? They had 4 guys running at him right there. And I guess the question is who slips up first? Who gets tired first, right? Does Mahomes make an error, which we saw with that interception earlier that got overturned? Or does the Chargers defense right now start to get fatigued? Do they start getting pissed off that they didn't get the call and he's completing these passes and it's just, it's eating away at them. So, come on. I need a score here. There we go. That a boy. Oh, good God. Well, what's the ruling there? I wonder if they're going to rule him down forward progress, or is that a fumble? There we go. I'll take that. Some WWF stuff right there. WWE, I'm sorry. Yeah. I see the call either way. I totally understand the forward progress. I mean, if you're picking the guy up, they will typically blow that dead. So that makes sense. Probably the right call and benefits me. But let's see, I've got about 2 plays here. Not sure why the clock stopped, but I'll take it. Oh, Eli, almost had your chance. That was your chance. Let's go. Everyone, we're rooting for McKinnon to get in the end zone here. Oh, he was down anyways. Okay. So hand it off to McKinnon again. Let's get in there. Let's get in the end zone. Nope, he's passing. Almost picked off again. Josh, I'm curious now where you're at as far as being ahead of me or behind me. So let me know when you know the outcome of the 3rd down play. It's 3rd and 1 or whatever it is. Or 3rd and goal, on the 1. Ew. So that was literally my worst case scenario right there, was that they somehow complete a pass short of the goal line. I can't believe that's actually what happened, because now the clock's running into the fourth quarter. So I'm going to push my bet, very surprisingly push my bet. An incomplete pass would have worked, or the 1 yard would have worked, but a completion for no yards was a terrible idea. Terrible shovel pass right there. That was so dangerous. So anyways, we'll take a push on that one. All right, well, this is setting up interestingly now. So 4th and goal on the 1 to open up the fourth quarter. Doesn't get any more interesting than this. So Josh, what did you have for third quarter money line for Chiefs? Okay, so it was a push for you too, Josh? Let me update these bets. Oh, okay. I see, Josh. All right, updates these odds for you guys. So now the Chiefs are 2.5-point favorites now. The game has flipped again. They are minus 185 on the money line. Chargers are plus 140. Total is at 50.5 on Bovada. Now on Bet Online, similar. We've got the Chiefs minus 2.5 again. The money lines are a little bit different. The totals are exactly the same now. Update my bets. All right. I didn't get my DFS lineup in. I got too caught up in this stuff. Hope you guys are having fun. Appreciate you guys being here. All right, Josh. So you push, Josh. You get your money back. Nothing really happening there. So right now on Bovada, let's see what we've got available. Chiefs are 2.5-point favorites. So I don't know if we have any indication yet if they're going for this or if they're kicking the field. I'm imagining they're going for it. No? No. Okay. So we've got a tie game, 17-all in the fourth quarter to start. Over under has ticked up to still 50.5. Chargers offense hasn't done a whole lot in that third quarter. The last couple of drives, the last half of the quarter, ever since that interception was overturned, has been all Chiefs. So what we tend to notice is in fourth quarters, there tend to be a lot fewer runs, right? A lot less this team's kicking ass, this team's kicking ass. It tends to stabilize. So there's still a little bit of time here. I'd say by the time we hit the 10-minute mark, though, is when I would anticipate, starting to really grasp one side or the other, and or the over-under at that point. One thing to notice here, I always pay attention to this, is the average time of possession for teams. So on each of these possessions. So this is actually unlike any game I've ever seen. No one has really had like any kind of methodical drive that just like ate up half the quarter. You had this one touchdown drive by the Chargers that took 5 minutes off the clock. But other than that, you're looking at a bunch of 2, 3, and 4 minute possessions. What's interesting about that is you will typically find in most games possessions that are very short and then some that are very long. So you'll usually see a bunch of sub 1 minute possessions, 3 and outs. We had one. The last two possessions by the Chargers. And I don't really look at these the last possession of a quarter or the half or something, because they're up against time constraints and whatnot. But other than that, you look at 4 minutes, 4.5, 2, 4 minutes, 3, almost 4. So pretty consistent drives, but no one's scoring very quickly. So yeah, it's just hard to really peg this game right now. The over-under's still down to 48.5 right now. I don't love 48.5 at all. And the reason being is that if either of these teams scores a touchdown. Oh, wait, sorry, Josh got a question. How did he push? Why didn't I lose my $10? So Josh, so you bet the money line, meaning there was no spread involved in that, right? So basically it was you betting this team and this team against each other, but they tied is what happened. So in a tie, you get your money back. Now, had you bet the spread, and let's say the Chiefs were minus 1 point, okay, and then they ended up tying, well, then you would have lost that bet. But they tied, you took the money line, and so you got your money back. But you were in a position, like me, to win the bet had they done anything other than throw a 1 yard shovel or a 0 yard shovel pass on that last play. So. Yeah, so back to the over-under. Now it's at 47.5. So the reason I don't like 47.5 or 48.5 is if anyone scores a touchdown here, okay, we know that that other team now is playing for a touchdown. And I'm not going to bet against either of these quarterbacks being able to score a touchdown. Now, if they were to both score a touchdown, you're up to 48 points. Obviously, at that point, you're going into overtime. Someone's scoring. We're not going to get into overtime and have a scoreless overtime. So Eli's saying 2 O-linemen out for the Chargers. That matters. Absolutely. Absolutely matters. Especially how good the D-line has looked for both of these teams. But the Chiefs' D-line has been no slouch. And if you've got some inexperienced guys out there for the Chargers, you might get a inexperienced penalty, false start, something like that. When it matters late in the fourth quarter here, make a world of difference. So yeah, we've just how has Palmer? Evan's asking how has Palmer looked. Let's take a look at the box score really quickly. It's Palmer's 3 catches, 23 yards. He's had 6 targets, but honestly, with the exception of Mike Williams, who's had a couple deep looks, Evan, everything has been underneath for both of these teams. You look at Mahomes, or both the quarterbacks right now, almost identical numbers. So 22 completions. They're both at about 210, 220 yards. But you take Mike Williams' stats out of this right now, everything else has been underneath. So you're looking at 3, 4, 5 yard passes. That's a nice run. Chargers going down. down inside the 5-yard line. Gerald Everett has been a beast to open up the year. I love him from a fantasy perspective, and I thought he was a very underrated addition for the Chargers because he didn't get as much respect as he should have in LA. Oh! Oh, no. Oh, no. You guys let me know when you're caught up to that. How are you doing, by the way, Evan? Where are you from? Who are you rooting for? You got any bets in on this game? That makes me sick. 99 yard. Well, I don't know what it officially is, 97 yards or something. Pick six. Well, there you go. That's how that game just turned upside down. So, again, I try to tell people, like, look, there's going to be a lot of people out there who are going to win their bets today, right? They put something in on whoever ends up winning, right? People are going to win their bets. But for anyone to be there at home thinking they put their bets in before the game started and they knew this is how it was going to play out, come on. I'd just rather be in my position right now. I can look at this game objectively right now. It's getting late into the fourth quarter. And now we've got the Chiefs are -6, -525. That's a little steep, but that's exactly what I've been talking about, is that the public has got this narrative right around Mahomes, around the Chiefs. So that's a big number for them to be -525. There's still practically a whole quarter left. And let's not forget that the Chargers were just about to take the lead 5 seconds ago. So Josh feels like he's in the future. Nice. Well, Josh, I'm trying to really delay my commentary here because I know I was ahead for a little bit. So I'm trying to just and give everyone some time to catch up. But what commercials are you guys seeing? I'm curious. I've got some guy on a white balcony and sitting on a chair. I don't know what this is about. All right, let's update these lives. Big swing here. So take these down. We're still just, on the day, 1-0-1. Up 2 units, which again I'm happy with. If I don't find anything else I'm confident in, I'll take that win and go to bed happy. All right, so now the Chiefs are 6-point favorites on Bovada. They're -525. Chargers are +325. Over under is at 51. It's interesting that they don't have it on a half this late in the game. Yeah, under 51 is +110. Okay. Bet Online also has the Chiefs as a 6-point favorite. But they've got the Chiefs at -454. So if you're looking at the Chiefs, that would be a much better line. They've got the Chargers at +340 also, so much better value on either side. Yikes. You guys watching that replay, that hurts to watch. Gerald Everett, I was just bragging him up on the play before. He gets gassed and essentially, potentially the reason that pick six happens. So, So this is what I was talking about, not liking that under earlier, because I felt like if one team scored a touchdown either way, I have no doubt that the Chargers can come down and score here. So 51.5 though becomes very interesting. So I'm probably going to lean here. This is going to be my play right now. I'm going to go 2 units to the under 51.5 if I can get it in. Now I'm going to warn you guys. This is something I have conviction in, meaning that if the Chargers come down and score right away and this line goes up, I'm probably going to keep taking this under even if it keeps growing. But obviously there's a lot of risk involved in that, right? Because if this turns into a shootout for the fourth quarter, I'm screwed. So I'm comfortable in that play under 51.5. And see how it plays out. Like I said, if it jumps up to like 54.5 or something like that, I'll probably take it again. Nice stop right there. That's really what I was looking at, is if they were able to get a stop here, which they just did. I don't know why they just looked at him like he might go for it, but I'm assuming he's going to punt this ball. Let's see where they're at. Yeah, they're on their own side of the field. So they're going to punt this ball. Now, one of the things we just talked about, or I was just talking about at the play-by-plays, is that no one has, and of course, this could turn on a dime, but no one's been scoring very quickly here. So I would expect the Chiefs to start running some clock. And having watched Andy Reid enough, he's one of the very few coaches that I trust in late game situations when it comes to clock management. So I talked about this during the Bills game, Bills and Rams, is that one of the things I look for throughout the season is I'm studying coaches and how they manage clocks, because as silly as it sounds, most head coaches in college football and NFL are terrible at time management. Andy Reid, on the other hand, is one of the few people I'm fully confident in. He'll remain aggressive, right? But they know how to use the clock. So it plays right into how this game's been going. These little 3, 4, 5-yard dump offs that are going to keep the clock running, little completions. All the momentum in the world right now is with the Chiefs. So I think at this point they're going to try to stay aggressive, but also just keep the ball out of Herbert's hands. And with that said, the way I want this to play out in my head, or how I expected it to play out when I took that bet, is Chiefs get the ball back, and if they can run even 2 minutes off the clock, so if they pick up 1 first down basically, or 2 first downs, they run 2 to 3 minutes off this clock, I at this point have 10 points in my pocket, right? So if the Chargers score, right, and they tie the game up, then again, the Chiefs are going to get that ball back. And on the last possession, again, I would expect them to not do anything but run the ball and try to get into field goal range. If the Chargers don't score, great. It gives me more points to work with. So I think the Chiefs are going to take some time off the clock here. Right now, over-under dropped to 50.5. Don't take that number. That's a big difference between 51.5 and 50.5. So definitely don't take that. There is no option for an adjusted under right now. That is one thing I would look at as well, are the adjusted over-unders, but there's nothing up here. Bet online, over-under is locked. Let me know what you guys are thinking. That money line just is growing to minus 900. There were a couple of spots in this game where the Chargers looked like they were going to run away with this game. And but this is exactly why I try to stay patient, try to let things play out. And there comes a point in every game where I think you start to realize, if you're being objective, and that's the hard part, if you're being objective, you start to realize this isn't happening, right? Or this team isn't coming back, or this team's definitely going to win. Right now, that moment, it looks like the Chiefs are going to put this one away. The tough part is if you've already got bets placed. So if you placed your bets before the game started, for example, and you bet on the Chargers, this is the spot where you're sitting there, and really all you can do is hope that right now they get that pick six and another score. But it's a little bit of a desperation feeling, and that's exactly why I don't like to put my money out there before I see what's happening. So Chiefs by 7. Yeah, it's very likely. Remember, I think we were talking at halftime when we were looking at those adjusted lines, and I said if you were going to take the Chiefs, you should certainly take the Chiefs on an adjusted line. So we had the option of -2.5 or -5.5, and they were both plus money at that time. So those were smaller spreads at much better odds. So remember, I said focus on the odds, not so much the number. We'd be sitting with a really nice bets right now at a great price. But anyways, so there we go. We open up this drive with a run. Eli's asking what's the prop line for it to go to OT. I'm not sure if they have one up right now. Let's see. Yeah, they don't have one right now, Eli. And oftentimes this late into the fourth quarter, they'll take that down. But I would say earlier in the game, it's typically around 7-1, typically, depending on the score, of course, and things like that. But I think by default, when the games open up or into the first half, it's usually 7-1. There we go. So now the only thing I would not want to happen here, obviously, is a very quick Kansas City score. But again, they're running some clock. They've kept the ball on the ground. Or short little dump off pass, exactly what I expected. They picked up a little more than I expected here, but it's fine. They're going to take their time on the play clock and whatnot. It would be great if they just, if they kicked a field goal, that would be my best case scenario. It makes it a 10-point game. It obviously leaves my under looking very good because I've got that touchdown cushion, and then also leaves a field goal in play for the Chargers. So at that point, if they're down 10, they can come down and kick a field goal. But yeah, we're getting to 6 minutes here. And again, if you notice what they're doing, right, they're lining up. They're not snapping it at 0, which is fine. You want to keep the defense guessing, so you don't want to let the clock run all the way. But look at this. They're under 10 seconds, right? And this is what a smart head coach is going to do. Well, they are running it down to 0. So I am surprised they're throwing. Very surprised they were throwing there. Don't like that play call. But again, from a time management perspective, exactly what I wanted and what I expected, because it's a coach that I've watched and I understand. I'm just trying to look to see if there's any more of those props for you, Eli, the overtime, but it's not coming up. All right. Okay. So we ran a few minutes off the clock. That's kind of what we wanted. They're going to flip field positions here. So Chargers are going to be, not backed up, but they're going to catch this ball, I would think, deep in their own territory. And see what they can do with it. So, barring any kind of turnovers, barring any kind of like pick six, fumble recovery for a touchdown or something, I'm pretty confident in my bet, pretty comfortable with it. Put it up on the screen. So we got this at minus 130. All right. So this would be a great win. This would put us up 4 units on the day, which is right around where I want to be. And this, the way this is playing out is pretty similar to my betting pattern for last week in the Thursday night game. We took the Bills we took the Bills spread at one point, and then we took a late under. This game, of course, we took the first quarter Chargers spread and or money line, I'm sorry, and then a late game under here. Now let me see what this under's at now. 47.5. Definitely don't love that number. I don't dislike it, but getting plus 105 to the under. The clock's running. So I don't know if you guys saw that really quickly. The Chiefs money line flashed to minus 360, and I don't know why, but Herbert is down and he's hurt. He took a shot to the ribs. No doubt that he could probably have 2 broken ribs right there, but my guess is he's going to finish this game. And if he doesn't, it's bad. So, as expected, you got Chase Daniel warming up on the sidelines. So, Chiefs money line is only minus 525. I don't understand that. I don't understand that at all. Like, at all. If you guys have any ideas, let me know why you think the money line just dropped that much. Take care, Josh. I appreciate you being here to the end. Have a good night, but I hope you had fun. Oh, there we go. So I was just questioning it because it should have been minus 900 and it dropped down to minus 525. That sounds a lot better. So here's the thing. I don't know what kind of bankroll you guys are rolling with. But this is a bet. Yeah, I mean, it's back down to minus 525. If I didn't have a position, or if I wasn't up 2 units and I didn't have a position that I am confident in with the under cashing, I'd be very inclined to take this bet at minus 525. First of all, Chargers are down a touchdown, right? There's no guarantee they're going to march the field and score. Secondly, we don't even know if Justin Herbert's coming back on the field. I think by rule, he's got to at least come out 1 play now, maybe. Maybe not. I'm not sure. But we don't know if he's coming back in the game. If he does, he's hurt. His ribs are feeling it. Thirdly, if he did lead them to a touchdown drive, Chiefs are still getting the ball back. And at that point, a field goal wins it. If the Chiefs don't score and the game goes to overtime, it's either overtime against Chase Daniel or a banged up Justin Herbert. It's really hard not to take this right now. It sounds like he's going to come back in. He's stepping out for a play. I think he has to. Yeah, he's coming back in. Okay. So I was talking about that earlier. That's why I don't take these bets. I was really close. That was just like an adrenaline thing. if I knew for sure that Chase Daniel was going to finish this game, I'd be all over that bet. But the fact that they were dropping that line and then it was coming back up, and someone who was setting these lines has a reporter on the sidelines that told them, Herbert's coming back in this game. It's still a long shot, but I would have felt much more comfortable taking the Chiefs if Chase Daniel was going to finish this game. Now, I'm not placing a bet here. I'm just prepping it because sometimes we can get sneaky lucky. And let's say he drops back and throws a pick right here, and the sports book doesn't update it quick enough. Like that, so close. I would have placed that bet, hopefully, and got it in before they updated the odds. So I always like to have it there. I like to have it ready so that I can just click place bet. Worst case scenario is it doesn't go through. Oh, that was close to what I was thinking there. Now it's in my opinion, it's 4 down territory, but obviously they've got 3 timeouts. There's the 2-minute warning. Oof, almost picked it again. So are they punting or are they? I think they punt. So, I mean, that's great. That's what I was hoping for. This under is looking pretty solid. Now the money line is it's crossed out. The Chiefs just got to keep this ball on the ground, keep the clock running. Chargers are going to start using their timeouts. O-line's getting him killed also. Yeah, it's the Chiefs defense really perked up here a little bit. But yeah, to your point, Eli, that's when you start seeing those injuries take place. You see the difference now in what's happening with new guys in on the O-line. Chiefs at minus 1,400. All right, they keep the ball on the ground. There you go. Oh, flag down. It might be a hold like halfway through the play. I don't really know. Oh, they're tacking on yards. Well, this game's really over. So first down, I'm hoping for just run the clock and kick a field goal here is what I need. That would ice the game for me. But I don't know why they're in a drop back formation. There we go. Okay. I would think Chargers got to start calling them right now. Just boom, 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 timeout. Yeah, there we go. So could take Juju anytime touchdown score. It's so random to me. Like they leave 2 bets up. You can take Juju and Justin Herbert. No, thank you. But I just wonder where that comes from. It seems very arbitrary. All right, so we got the Chiefs now minus 10 points. Kind of the last line of the night, it looks like. Probably, I would think they'll shut them down pretty soon. I'm not sure why they're passing, but I have no idea what they're doing right now. All right. I wonder if they're passing here too. If they're just, I would have thought they would have just run the clock out, but silly me, I guess. Here we go. It's good. Set up a field goal here. So that should be all she wrote for the under. I think this one's going to cash, barring some freak occurrence. They kick a field goal here. It still leaves me a touchdown. So even if the Chargers scored, unless they scored, get the onside kick and score again. Hey, bud. Thanks, Carlo. I hope you're able to grab some of these bets. Have a great night, and appreciate you guys being here. Eli, sorry that the free bet's not going to cash, but we'll be doing them every week. So. I will say, guys, for anyone who's here right now, this is a point in the game where I am not really interested in betting. Okay. And if you're serious about sports betting, I would strongly encourage you to avoid betting in situations where it comes down to like one drive, one play, things like that. You have no control over that. And no matter how well you think you have a grasp on things, these late game scenarios where the game's already decided, right? The Chiefs are going to win this game. The Chiefs don't care if they win this game by 3, by 7, or by 10. Makes no difference to them. So just keep that in mind. For the Chargers, obviously they're still trying to win. But I think, deep down inside, they realize this game's away from them. So to bet this minus 9.5 or plus 9.5, you're gambling at that point, best case scenario. So now 5 minutes ago, if you would have told me you wanted to take the Chargers plus 10, I would have said that's pretty decent value because in all likelihood, we thought the Chiefs were going to kick the field goal there or miss a field goal, one of the two. At which point, that's basically it. You're kind of wrapping it up. So I'm certainly not touching these late game lines. I'm just, waiting for the under 51.5 to cash. That'll put us 2 for 2 on the day, or I guess 2-0-1 with the push that, was unfortunate to push and not win. But I see a couple of you guys still here. Let me know who you are, who's in the chat today. Drop something in here. Maybe I'll do a free bet giveaway for next week or later this week if you guys are interested. Also, let me know if you've got any bets that you put in today. Did you put them in before the game started or during the game? The Chargers still have a timeout left. They've got the 2-minute warning, and they're already to midfield. So, I mean, it's not out of the question. I think the Chiefs actually really kind of, to my surprise, didn't run as much clock as they could have on that last possession. I don't know what they were thinking. They threw an incompletion on second down and stopped the clock. They could have easily run another 40, 50 seconds off the clock there. Ooh, he stayed in bounds. So he had a chance to get out of bounds on the sideline there. He stayed in bounds. Great for me, but I don't know what he was thinking. Clock's running. You get a sack or a tackle in bounds here, tackle for a loss. You force them to use their last timeout. No. I guess they want to hold it till after the 2-minute warning. Yep. Oh, they had him. Wow. Herbert's struggling. He could have walked for a first down right there, but he can't move. Yeah. He can't walk. He's in pain. This is bad. Take a look at the box score tonight. I think a lot of buzz going around on prop bets before the game started. The under on Austin Eckler was a pretty popular one. Rushing yards, 55.5 yards. Oh, wow. Wow. Jeez. So Herbert can't walk 6 feet for a first down, but he can still sling it. Oh, we still got a game, folks. We still got a game. What's going on, guys? If you're joining in late here, let me know. What do you think of the game? Is this what you expected? Who are you rooting for? I'm holding on for dear life. I've got an under 51.5. So I'm good with another touchdown, but just can't have him score after that. If you're joining in late here, we are 1 for 1. We took an early bet in the first quarter on the Chargers money line in game. That cashed. We were unfortunate to push later on with the Chiefs, but that was a push, and now we're hoping to lock up our second play of the night here with the under 51.5. Yeah, I'm not sure why he's trying to stay in bounds there. That makes no sense. This is mind-boggling. This is the kind of stuff where I don't understand coaching, and this is usually a pretty disciplined team, but why are you trying to stay in bounds? A 3rd and goal with 1.5 minutes left. It's really going to come down to the onside kick for me. If the Chiefs recover, it's pretty much game over. I know we still got a couple people here tonight. If you're still watching, drop me a comment. I'd love to give out some free bets for next week, college football, NFL. So let me know who you are, where you're watching from, and what you've got going on tonight. There we go. Tackle for a short game. Touchdown. Hey, Evan, if you're still here, I'm not sure if you are, but Palmer just caught his touchdown. So not sure if you started him in fantasy but Got a late touchdown there. Herbert. I'm actually going up against Herbert in fantasy this week, so that's a little disappointing for me. Let's see here. Onside kick goes. At this point, all the lines should be down. Shouldn't be anything really you can take at this point in time. Yeah, everything's locked up on Bet Online. I'm going to close that out. And you can take the Chargers at plus 2,000 to win the game. No, thank you. See, I mean, they recover here. It's one completion and you're in field goal range. They've got more than enough time. They got a timeout, so it's possible. See you, Eli. Have a great night, man. Appreciate you sticking around to the end. Oh, that was way too close. Yikes. All right, I still got to run the clock out. I've seen crazier things. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for joining. Have a great night. Another successful night tonight on Thursday Night Football. We go 2-0 again. 2-0-1. Sorry. Should have been 3-0, but we'll take the push. So 2-0 last week on Thursday Night Football. 2-0 this week. We were up 6 units last week, 4 units this week. So we're up 10 units on the first 2 weeks of Thursday Night Football. And, I don't see why we can't keep this going for the rest of the year. But I'm going to try to be back here for Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football this week. And then I'll hopefully be posting in between then. So if you don't mind subscribing to the channel, and be safe and good luck till then.